It is such a pleasure to be able to present my colleague Jorge Gutierrez. Jorge has a degree in math education and also a master's in IT and instructional design, and he currently works as a math coach in Ecuador for our organization, MathKind Global. He has over 20 years of experience in education. He's a lover of math and technology, and he's always looking for new strategies and new tools to be able to develop the different teaching techniques. He currently lives in Quito, and amongst his interests is eating, dancing, and traveling. Jorge has prepared for us today a session that is called a cable car in the cloud. Hello to everybody. It's so nice to say hi to everybody. First of all, let's go ahead and begin reminding you of the different ground rules that we have for the sessions. This is nothing new. Number one, to please be curious. Also, to consider the different perspectives, to be mindful of linguistic and cultural differences, to demonstrate respect for yourself and others, to mute yourself when not speaking, and to please raise your hand using the icon in order to request to speak. I also want to share with you the agenda. So the first thing is that we're going to be participating on a trip, on a journey. We are going to share with you this history about a journey together. Then we're going to think about a challenge for the classroom, and then we're going to reflect and give each other feedback. I'm going to begin by presenting myself. My name is Jorge Gutierrez. I am a coach in Ecuador, and I am going to share with you a story about Mate Mundial, world math. But first, I wanted you to please share your name, your country, and your grades that you teach so that we can begin to interact. So I would love to see where you're from. So again, please your country of origin and the level and subject that you teach.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi, Patricia. Where are you from? Where do you live?
Desde Ecuador, sino que es que tenía
I'm in Ecuador and I was having some power issues. So I had to leave to see where I can connect. Are you just starting? Yes, we're just starting. Oh, great, great. So in the chat, we have people putting their comments. We have people from Ecuador. That's wonderful. From Quito. I have another question for you. And I actually love asking questions. So there's going to be a couple of different questions. So about height. What does the term height mean to you? What does the word height or altitude mean for you? People are still presenting themselves. Okay, and now go ahead and respond to that question in the chat. What does height or altitude mean to you? Oh, we have Cassandra from the US, great. Okay, so we could go ahead and respond now to the question, what is height or altitude? Okay, Melva responded that that is the size of an object when it's vertical. Maybe a thumbs up if you agree with Melva, and if you have something different, go ahead and share it. Pato has also given a response to us, which is that the height would be the distance for an object when it's positioned vertically. Okay, what about longitude? What if I ask you, what is longitude? Let's see what you can respond in the chat. What is longitude? Length. So if I have a height that's going upward, it's not the length. You can also measure it from the center up. So are you saying that the length, longitude is the same as height? So we have another respond in the chat as somebody saying that the height is a distance perpendicular to a reference system. Can you explain a little bit more about this? Oh, that's longitude. Okay, for longitude, I only have two responses. Anybody else want to respond to what is longitude? Pato thinks that yes, a height is a type of measurement of length. So then what is the difference between one and the other? What difference then would you say? And I want to reference these two terms because we are going to be utilizing these two terms quite a bit, both height and longitude. So I wanted to see if people know what the difference is between these two. Do you know the difference between these two? You can put it in the chat or you can raise your hand. So the longitude is the measurement between one point of reference to another one. Okay, so you, from what you're indicating, both the height and the longitude are the same. So I can say that I have Carlos. I have a longitude of, oh, actually, Carlos, you raised your hand. Go ahead and participate. Hi, good afternoon to everybody. Jorge, longitude, as I just put in the chat, is the measurement from one point. Oh, I apologize. The reception is not good. The connection.
Hola Jorge, ¿quieres que te lea el comentario?
I can read the comments if you like, Jorge. So if it's vertical, there's height, but a longitude can be horizontal, vertical.
Es para mí la diferencia.
Okay, that's the difference. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you.
I see that they say that the height you do vertically and the longitude inclined. They say that is a distance, is the measurement from one point to another. For me, height is the measurement of the longitude, and it's done vertically. Well, thank you very much. We are going to do the height vertically, and longitude could be inclined or vertical. We're going to see in some cases where we would apply this. So I would like to know, in function to these two questions, that I would love for you to answer in the chat. You don't have to think about it too much. What's your height? In my case, I'm 164 centimeters, or I could take 116. Pau is 158. I'm following your contribution in the chat. The second part is, what is the altitude where you live? For instance, I'm in Quito, and Quito is 2,150 meters. Do you know what is the altitude that you are in respect to the sea level? Margarita, thank you so much. Altitude based off the sea level. We need a reference for this journey. We're going to use as reference sea level. So I understand that many of you are in Quito, Cuenca, someone that is 5 meters, Margarita. She's probably by the beach. The valley, 2,200. 6 meters. I suppose they're at the coast. What is the highest altitude that you have ever been? Also put it in the chat. For instance, personally, I was able to visit Cusco city, which is 3,399 meters. And this is the highest altitude that I have ever visited. I would love for you to see if you have reached a higher altitude or even lower. For instance, if you're in Quito, have you been somewhere that has lower altitude? And if you're at the coast, if you have been somewhere, basically, give me what is the highest altitude that you have ever visited or that you have ever been. The cable car in Quito, yes, that's higher. In Pichincha, yeah. Lorinisa, 4,700 meters above sea level. Someone, the volcano of water of 3,760. This is where, Saul, is this in Guatemala? Right? Yes, in Altiva, Guatemala. Beautiful landscape. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Only the Quito City, 2,850. In Peru, 5,893. That's very high. Atlitan volcano, 3,535 in Guatemala. Mayra, Guatemala? Okay. And that's how I follow the altitude. It's good to know that you have had the opportunity to visit the heights. We're going to start the tour with a title that I told you, the car cable in the cloud. I'm going to continue asking, do you know what a cable car is? Have you ever had the opportunity to go in one? Do you know what one is? Could you write it in the chat? Carlos knows. Yes, he's been in one. Carlos, do you want to share what this cable car is and as a transportation in Guayaquil and in Quito?
En Quito,
Yeah, in
tuve la
Quito.
oportunidad de
I
subirme
had
en
the
un
opportunity to go in the cable car. It is, thank you, Lucy, it's an aerial transportation. What type of transportation it was? Thank you for your answer. That consists in these cabins used to pass high densities and they work via cable. And then it says car cable in the clouds. I would love for you to tell me to what altitude do you think the clouds are? How high are they? Just give me an estimate. I would love to hear your answers in the chat. I keep looking. Very high, says Lucy. Give me an estimate. I don't know, any measurement that you think. Lucy gave us very high or large altitude. More than 3,000 meters as far as 6,000, 2 kilometers, 5,000 meters. Somebody, Carlos, says regarding to sea level or Quito. Oh, the system of reference, we always gonna go with sea level because depending of the situation, of course. Then he says 3,000, 4,000, perfect. You're close. I think, of course, it depends of the type of clouds. There are some low clouds that start at 2,000 levels and middle clouds that are 6 and 7,000 and high clouds. No, sorry. The middle ones are 5,000 and the high ones 7,000 and above. But we can find clouds 2,000 meter heights. So if the car cable is in the clouds, what's the minimum altitude that it should have for it to be true that it's really on the clouds? I would love to read you in the chat. 2,000, that's right, Saul. 6,000, 2,000. Pato says, yes, of course, if the first one start at 2,000, so as long as it's 2,000 plus, we can say that the car cable is in the clouds. Great, great, great to hear you, great to participate. We're going to start our tour. And the tour that we're going to visit today is in Merida City. I'll ask you, in what continent do you think Merida City is? Could you write it in the chat? America, Moir. Yes, great. What about North America, South America, Central America? South America said something. Latino America said Lucy. All right. Based on this, in this case, and for this tour, the car cable that we're going to visit is in Merida, Venezuela. I think there's one in Mexico as well. That's why I wanted to ask if we knew Merida in Venezuela. And I ask you, have any of you had the opportunity to visit Merida, Venezuela? I'll say yes, I had the opportunity. I'm going to tell you a story that I had the opportunity to live myself. So I'm going to share experiences and pictures of my trip in Merida. So I know most of you have said no. So come with me to this tour and we're going to get to know this place and we're going to have this motivation to get to know the car cable. Before we start talking about the car cable, when we were talking about city of Merida, I want to locate you. So Merida City is in the Andes Mountains. Andes, have you heard this word? Andes. It is a mountain, um, like a mountain chain. Melba, can you tell me? You've heard the word Andes. It's like a mountain range. Could you share with us if you heard this mountain Andes mountain range? Yeah, good afternoon. It's true. What I remember is this mountain range of Andes that goes through several countries, a lot of mountains, a ring of mountains, the heights, the mountains, just that. Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. Right, the word Andes has several meanings, but the meaning that we're going to take for this journey it comes from the word anti, which is a Quechua, which means elevated cresta. So we can say like a ridge, elevated ridge. So very height. And like someone said, our friend, it goes through South America, through 6 different countries, Argentina, Chile, Peru, Bolivia, Colombia, and it ends in Venezuela, precisely at that spot, the Venezuelan Andes. This is the highest mountain range of the planet. It is the second one with the highest altitude. The first one is the Himalaya mountain range because it has the Everest and the Andes mountain range. We can find the Peak Concagua in Argentina, which is the highest point with 6,960 meters. We arrived to this Venezuelan Andes as a part of this mountain range that is divided by 3 states, Táchira, Trujillo, and Mérida, that is 1,630 meters above sea level. You find this cable car that we will find today. So we're going to continue exploring about this city, and I'm going to present um, the Merida mountain range. I'm going to ask you to take a moment. What do you see and what calls your attention? You see this cordillera, this mountain range. I wanna ask you what brings or what calls your attention. What it has an elevated area. Thank you. Thank you for your feedback. If you do, please, if you agree, you can also give me a thumbs up. If anybody has an observation, mountains that come in and out, the color, right? It has different colors. What do you mean by color, Soraya? It seems that there is a big encañonado. What do you mean by encañonado? Could you tell us what you mean by that? Lucy says it has different color tones, green, brown, white, and it corresponds to the field, to the snow. Great, 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 great. It seems like there is a brook that divides the mountain or like a river. Yes, has a lot of mountains. Is that white area ice? We will see if it has ice. I think that is a great canyon, like a brook that separates the mountain. I'm going to tell you that the Merida mountain range is formed by two sierras, Santo Domingo Sierra and the north of the Culata and the Sierra Nevada of Merida. Whereas we will do more emphasis because this sierra is the one that contains within the highest peaks of this country. So if these are the highest peaks, they were talking a little bit about the snow, so that could represent the snow. And
So within the peaks that we can see, there's some that are very representative of that country, like the one called Pico Espejo, Fomblan, La Concha, and Bolivar. So we're going to stay here in this Sierra Nevada or snowy mountain range because this cable car is going to allow us to explore this whole area. And we will see in a moment how that's going to be possible. So we're all going to continue to work together, and I'm going to describe a situation that I would like for us to be able to solve together based on the information that we have about the Sierra Nevada and its peaks. So let me share the information. It says, in the Sierra Nevada, in the state of Mérida, Venezuela, we can see various mountains or peaks. Amongst them are the ones that I described a moment ago. Pico, Mont Blanc, Pico Espejo, Bolívar, La Concha, and Humboldt. And they are at a height of 4,978 meters, 4,863 meters, 4,895 meters, 4,765 meters, and 4,960 meters. But these are not necessarily in order. So the measurement is not in order of the peaks here mentioned. So our task is going to be which height corresponds to each peak. And that's going to be a group activity. But before we do anything else, I wanted to ask, do you think that you can solve this only with the information being given in this statement? Please say yes or no in the chat. Do you think that only with the information that I have given you in this description, you can solve the situation? No, I don't think so in the chat, okay?
¿Por qué? Y los que digan que sí, ¿por qué?
If you're saying no, please explain why not or why you think you could. You can just raise your hand or you can respond in the chat. For those of you that are responding yes or no, let me know why. Whether you said yes or no, let me know why. Patricio, if you don't think that it's possible, say why. I think somebody here put because there's no connection between the name and the height. Carlos, you said yes. Can you share why? Why do you think it is possible?
No te escucho bien, Carlos. Por acá dice Margarita que hay cientos diferentes. Ajá, te escucho.
Digo, si hoy en día tenemos el internet, si necesito
Well, nowadays we have the internet, so I can just look it up online. Yes, so you would have to research this information. Great. Margarita is saying it's 120 different possibilities or combinations. So we would have 120 possibilities. Okay. Since some of you said yes and some said no, let's go ahead and solve the situation. We are going to need some additional information, and for that, I am going to share with you in the chat a link so that you can access to this additional information. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an explanation as to what we're going to be doing for the next 15 to 20 minutes. We are going to form groups of 4 people each. In the chat, I'm going to give you a link. Once you have that link, then open up this supplemental information to be able to complete your task. Give me one moment, please. Oh, wait a moment. Let me put it in the chat. Okay, so you can go to this link in the chat, and this is going to pop up. And it's going to have some different sort of cards with a number. They have a number and they have an arrow that allows me to turn it over. Once you have that number, you are going to select it. And once you have that number, each participant is going to select a number between 1 and 4. And you're going to press on the button that says turn. And then you can see this additional information. And each participant is going to read to their colleague this important information according to the number that they selected. So if I'm number 1, then I'm going to go to the card number 1. I'm going to turn it and read this information for my colleague. Okay? You can read this information as many times as you need it. If you make it all the way to the end and you turn around the last card, you are going to see a button that says try again. So you can press try again and read them once again. And you don't have to go in order 1, 2, 3, 4. You can read them in any order that you like. And finally, if you have any questions, it's very important that you first try to respond to the question among yourself. But if none of your teammates have the answer, then you can ask me any question you might have. There's a little button that says request help, and then I can come join you. I am going to put all these instructions in the, or actually they're in this document. So in a moment, somebody's going to put this link to this document. In this document, we explain the statement. We have all the instructions as to what you have to do. And then what you have to complete, the names of all the peaks and the heights for each one of them. And then you have to respond to the following questions. Which mathematical strategies did you use in order to solve this problem? Oh, you actually do have to do a copy of this document. So please make a copy of the document and then you can respond to these questions. Before I send you to the groups, How can you help me with that?
Si tienen alguna duda o pregunta, levanten la mano. Este es el momento para hacerlo.
While Paul gets that organized, if there's any questions, please raise your hand if you have any questions at this moment. Also, can you please try to open up the links that I shared with you just to make sure that these are accessible to you? So again, there's two different files. The first one is access to these cards that have important information that you're going to need. And the second document is this document that I'm showing on my screen right now with instructions as to what you have to do. Oh, apparently you need authorization. Let me please give permission for you to open the document. 1 second, please. Okay, I opened up the link. Try it with the one that I have shared with you right now. Let me check it out. Oh, it says to make a copy. Click on make a copy. It's working now. Great. Okay, there's the link.
Por favor, levanten la mano si recibieron todos el vínculo y si están claras las indicaciones.
Please raise your hand if you have gotten the link and if everything is clear. Okay, so you can go ahead and open up the small groups. You are going to have exactly 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the time that we have. Let's do 15 minutes. I think that should be sufficient. Pau, would you help me with the groups, please?
¿Cuántos grupos quieres, Jorge? Hola, ¿me escucho?
I can't hear you. How many groups do you need? It's groups of 4 people each. So 5 of 4. It has to be 4 per group because there's 4 cards. If there are less, then it should be 2 people so that it can be 2 people. Each one would open 2 cards. Please raise your hand or thumbs up just to know that you're set and that everybody's ready to go to the team. More than giving me the response, because we are going to discover that in the journey we're about to begin, I would like for you to tell me, I guess the question that we had in the table, which is, what strategy did you utilize to be able to solve the problem? I don't know, maybe one representative per group can go ahead and raise your hand and share with us.
En mi grupo voy a lanzar a Lucy, que es la que estaba hasta el final con nosotros.
I am going to suggest that Lucy represents us. Lucy, go ahead, you're on.
Lucy, te escucho.
Buenas tardes, ¿sí me escuchan?
Can you hear me okay? Yes, we can hear you.
Nosotros utilizamos primero la estrategia de ordenar.
We use the strategy of organizing all the different amounts.
Primero hicimos el ordenamiento.
So we put everything in order first, from biggest to smallest. And then, based on the information given by each card, we started with the one that gave us the most information and that was the least complicated. In order to know which were the questions still pending and so we could reach a response. So everybody shared their point of view. And at the end, we could not hear one of the colleagues very well, but we were finally able to reach a response. And basically, it was accomplished through teamwork, by everybody sharing their own opinion, and by using math, which will be some basic operations. And again, mainly just putting in order the information and working as a team.
Gracias por compartir, Lucy. Puedo leer por acá en el chat que
Thank you for sharing, Lucy. In the chat, somebody put that they utilized sums, comparisons, logic, propositional. Great. Okay, the next team. Can you go ahead and do your report out?
El otro equipo tengo entendido que es el grupo donde estaba
I think the
Margarita.
other group is where we had Margarita.
Sí, allí Melba es la que estaba liderando. Pudiera
Yep, I think Melva was the person that was leading in that space. Melva, can you go ahead and share with us? So the strategy was to copy this little clues for the information, and then we realized together with the group that the more specific one, I think, was concerning the Pico Humboldt, which is the second largest one in Venezuela. And then we continued to put everything in order. And we kept looking for the other clues. For example, then the Pico La Concha is 130 more than the one in last place. So we did the addition of this 130. And then we identified then which one was the Pico La Concha. And then with those different clues, we were able to then find the other different heights. So by deduction, based on the clue that we're giving by the Pico Humboldt, oh no, sorry, the Pico Bonpland. I believe you said that it wasn't the highest and it wasn't the lowest. So that's how we put it in fourth place. And then we did another operation with the other tip, which is, I think, was like putting the double to the Pico Humboldt, and then to take away the one that we have for La Concha, and that's where we were able to get the information, and by deduction, we decided that Pico Espejo was the shortest one of all the least height of all. Yes, like Paco said, it's using logic and deduction. So it's not just using math, it's using sort of basic reasoning and logic as well. And he basically had to sort of take all the information to be able to verify all that information and reach the conclusion. Margarita, you wanted to say something?
Sí, algo interesante que ocurrió en el grupo es
Something
que
interesting that happened in the group
respecto a
was that we had a question, a doubt about the clue
estaban dando los
and
datos
about the
de
data,
picas.
because the data was
Pero
for
de hecho
5
estaba
different
allí
peaks.
en esta. Pero la pista era el
But
segundo
the
más
clue
alto de
was
todo
about the
Venezuela.
second highest one
Entonces
in
la
all of
pregunta es
Venezuela.
si el
So the
segundo más
question
alto
was
también
if
era el
the
segundo
second
más alto de
highest
los 5 que nos daban.
was also the second highest of the 5 that were given
Eso
to us.
podía dar a varias interpretaciones.
Because that could have been interpreted different ways.
Cuando se usa lógica,
And the other
cuando
thing
se
is that when we use logic, when we do deduction, then that's also math.
Eso es la esencia de
That's basically like the essence of math. That's pretty much the explanation of it. Yes, when I went by the group, they actually made that observation about those 5 peaks. And yes, those 5 peaks were the highest ones in Venezuela. Correct. And like Margarita's saying, yes, that is math. If you look at the curriculum that we have in Venezuela, I mean, one of the basically curriculum is logic. It's really one of the content areas. And sometimes the professors or sometimes even the books that we have included there. Brita, go ahead.
Sí, que, o sea, como acotación a lo que ya dijeron los otros compañeros para no ser
In addition to the rest of the people, in addition to what the people said, and I don't want to be repetitive,
en este periodo lectivo pues fue enseñarle a los estudiantes
we did actually have to teach this to students because people, I mean, the students are becoming a little bit more automatic in what they're doing, and we want them to really learn logic in everything that they're doing. Because if we do not direct them in this way, so they can use algebraic language and not going to be able to really translate anything, even the most simple thing. So we use calculations like addition, subtraction, division that they start learning at a very young age. Because the evaluations over here, well, you know, many of you know, that we had the goal of cognition, and we wanted to make sure that students had sort of these argumentative skills. So that was a really important part. And sometimes for us as teachers, that is something that is lacking. And I tell them that these spaces help us to learn and transcend. And like I mentioned in the session before, we continue to learn the necessary skills and sharing our skills amongst each other. And that way we can learn. And we learn by doing.
Gracias por compartir, Patricia. Y bueno, fíjense, como lo mencionaron algunos datos, vamos a empezar el recorrido.
Thank you for sharing, Patricia. And like I mentioned, this is really a journey in a cable car. And I actually haven't talked about cable car yet. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and make the first connection.
¿Y por qué tomo el pico espejo
So
como
this is the pico espejo, the espejo peak. Of all these 5 peaks that we talked about,
Sin embargo, ese pico
was the least highest. However, it is the one that has the easiest access to be able to get to that peak. And in its highest peak, we have the last station of this cable car in the sky, in the clouds. It's called Umbari. Umbari is an indigenous name for this cable car called cable car Mukumbari, which basically means the place where the sun sets. So this cable car Mukumbari, it actually has the record of being the highest one in the world with 4,765 meters. It is the second longest cable car with 12.5 kilometers. There's a longer one in Switzerland that has 13.6. And it's worth mentioning that this type of cable car has another record that has Bolivia with 30 kilometers. But basically this one, this cable car, is used as a mode of tourism. But there's another record of one in Bolivia that's used as a mode of transportation. And it's utilized to move from different parts of La Paz. We also know that we have a cabin like the one in the image, and there's a total of 8. And that cabin has the capacity of holding 60 people max. And they go at a speed of 7 meters per second. So you can see the whole journey that it takes, the first station is called Barinitas. And this station is in the center of the city of Mérida.
Se encuentra a una altura de 1.577 metros sobre el nivel del mar. Es la primera estación de este tramo en la subida donde llegamos y es la más grande de todas. Tiene
Above sea level is the biggest one of all, approximately 6,000 square meters. There are different stores and expositions. We also have Mirador, where we can see when you start, you can see Merida City. The viewpoint is beautiful. We have the second station called La Montaña. The second one is 2,422 meters. Basically, at this altitude, we could say we're on the clouds. According to what we saw before, I think we can start being in the clouds. At this station, there's a guide, gives you information, and from there you could see the city of Mérida. At this viewpoint, you could see a mountain called the sleeping giant, el gigante dormido. Of the viewpoint of this station, there's a restaurant, there's recreation areas. Now, the third station higher up, La Aguada. La Aguada. You see it at 3,452 square meters. At this altitude, there are no trees, vegetation changes, and you can see cacti, this kind of plants, this type of vegetation, plants of different sizes. And one of them is the salejón, which is a plant that only grows 3,000 meters or higher. It's unusual. It looks like a sunflower over a cactus. But it's, you see them, it's like hairy, and the hair has a main function. This little fur, right, has the function of absorbing humidity from the environment, and it releases it from the roots. So this is how water circulates. It produces water to rivers or brooks. Also in this station, La Aguada, and its viewpoint, there is a view to El Pico La Concha, or La Concha Peak. It is 4,895 meters above sea level. This is what we were identifying, and you can look at the altitude. This is the viewpoint. On a clear day, you could see the peak. On a cloudy day, you can. So in this case, you could not see it. Then we go to the fourth station called Loma Redonda. This station is 4,045 meters above sea level. At this station, when you go down, you can ride a donkey or by foot, and you see two lagoons, La Negra and La Colorada. At this station, you can see to a little village, very beautiful. You find it. You could go by mule, or you could go by foot. It's a tour for about 4 hours, unpaved. There are people that go there when they go visit this station, and they go and do the tour to the town. And finally, we go to the Pico Espejo, or Espejo Peak, or Mirror Peak, and you can go there and we see the photo of this station. You could see the Bolivar Peak. This is a picture, my picture a few kilos and a few years ago. I was able to enjoy this beautiful view, snow. What you see is Bolivar Peak. It looks close, but it's really far. We would probably need to work and not to work, but to walk and use special equipment to be able to get to the peak. It's 4,978 meters. From this viewpoint on a clear day, you could see Humboldt Peak, 4,916 meters, and Pico Bon Plant, 4,863 on a clear day. And this is the tour through this Mucumbari cable car, all the way through the different stations. Thank you so much for joining me in this tour. And I wanted to show you how to narrate a story of Mate Mundial. I wanted to narrate a story of Mate Mundial What is this? This is an app that I can put on the chat. We do the stories of Mate Mundial. In this case, the story that I narrate is called Telesférico or Cable Car in the Clouds. But here you have all the information of everything that we were able to go through in this session. And I'm going to give you an example of an activity that I could do based on the information that I got from the story of Mate Mundial. When I say in this next slide, now it's your turn. I ran out of time, but we're gonna do a final activity. Take some time to explore this story. And once you do, think, chat about what mathematical content you were able to use. That was the third question that I observed or that you were able to see in the worksheet. What mathematical content could work with the story of Mate Mundial? We could do it here, but I'm going to invite you to do it in a space as you have time, and you do the story, you review the information, and you think according to the grade that you work. That's why I asked you for the grade. So according to the grade that you work on, you could say, or you could indicate what contents could face. So you could write this, or you could treat, or you could talk about, right? So if we have a few more minutes, let me tell you how to use. We are going to the part where we have the activity of today, so of the cable car on the clouds, and we have discussion forum. Here, when you join in, we have here, go down where you see my name, Jorge Gutierrez, and here you have two peaks and its heights, or peaks and heights. Upload the image, or it's difficult. You only respond with the names and the heights, and then you enter the question, what math content can you work on with math, with global math or Mate Mundial, global math story according to the level you're working with. And this is how you would finish this homework or this task. If you have an idea, anything that you wanted to share, this would be a great moment. You can write it on the chat or open up the mic and express yourself. And the contents that you could talk about or that you could face and how you could use them or how you could
Creo que
work
lo
with them.
podemos usar en
I think
una
we could
receta
use
para
them
realizar un
on a
pastel y
recipe
podíamos
to
aplicarlo al
bake a
momento de
cake, and
fraccionar
we
el
could apply
pastel
it at the moment
poniendo
of
diferentes
cutting the
fracciones
cake,
y
putting
luego
different
ubicarlas
fractions,
a cuál
and
es
then
la menor,
using them,
usando los signos de relación menor
using
que, mayor
the
que, el
bigger
orden
than,
de esa
smaller
fracción.
than, or
Bueno,
greater
algo así
than,
se me vino a
smaller
la
than,
mente.
in the order of that
Entiendo
fraction.
que
We
lo que
could
me
do
dice
that.
sería
I
cómo aplicar la
understand that
actividad
what
que
you
hicimos en
say is
grupos
that
a su
explain
nivel.
the
Pero en
activity
este
in
caso lo
groups
que quiero que
to
hagan
your
no
level.
es que
But in this
repliquen la
case, I
actividad
don't
que
want
yo
you to
ya les
replicate the
modelé,
activity
sino que
that
piensen
I
ustedes
modeled,
leyendo la
but
historia
that
con
you
la
think
información. Cuando la lean se
reading
van
the
a dar
story with
cuenta que
the
toda la información que yo
information.
planteé
When
o
you
que
read
ustedes
it,
en este
you'll see
recorrido
that
hicimos
all the
está acá en este
information
texto.
that we
Yo
talked
se las
about is
presenté con
here.
una
I presented
infografía
it
subiendo
with
por las estaciones. Aquí pueden
going
ver de qué
through the
altura se encuentra cada
stations. You
una.
could
Yo se las
see
presenté
the
de esa
height of
forma.
everyone. I
Y ya me di
presented
cuenta
it
que me
this way.
quedé pegado. Pero me
I
gustaría que
noticed
ustedes
that the
pensaran en
camera
cómo ustedes pudiesen
is
utilizar
going back
esta
and forth, but
historia
I
del
would
teleférico
love for you to
o
tell me
cualquiera
how
de la que
you
hemos
could
trabajado
use
acá
this story or any of the ones we worked before
con los contenidos de su
with the
tema. Bueno,
contents
por ejemplo, yo pudiese entonces
of,
establecer
for
o
instance, I
buscar
could
las
perhaps
diferencias que hay entre
establish
las
or look the
alturas de cada
differences
estación.
between the
Se me
height of
ocurre.
each
O
station, I can think.
tomar los datos. Aquí
Or
tenemos
take
bastantes
the
datos. Incluso aquí tenemos
information. Here we
recursos
have
que podemos
different
utilizar.
information,
Tienen una
resources that we could
presentación y tienen
utilize
preguntas de
in a
justicia social que pudiésemos
presentation
utilizar.
we
Entonces, la
have
actividad consiste en a partir de esta historia,
questions of
con
social
ustedes o
justice
qué
that we could
contenidos
use.
pudiesen
So you could
trabajar y
use
cómo
part
los
of this
trabajarían.
story with the
Margarita, te
contents that
escucho.
we could use and how to work.
Sí,
Margarita,
otra
back to you.
actividad que a veces a los
Yeah,
estudiantes se les hace
another
difícil
activity that
es
sometimes for the students
ver las
becomes
relaciones, ¿no?
difficult to
Y allí se puede
relate things,
establecer
and there
relación entre la
we can
altura
establish
y la
relation between the
vegetación
height
de
and
tipo de
the
plantas, ¿no? Entonces,
vegetation, for
podemos
instance, the
ver que
type of plants.
naturalmente
So we
uno
could see that
puede
naturally
establecer
you
ese
can
tipo de relaciones,
establish this
especialmente
type
cuando
of
uno está
relations,
trabajando con chicos
particularly when
de
you're working
básica,
with
en donde el
kids
maestro da
of
varias
elementary,
asignaturas, da
when
matemáticas, da ciencias
the teacher is the
naturales,
same
y
one for
entonces hay esa
science,
transversalidad
for maths, and there
que
is
se
that
puede
kind of
aplicar
crossover
relacionando y
that you can
estableciendo
apply,
también la
and
definición de qué es una
establishing also
relación en
the
matemáticas.
definition of what a relation is in math.
Gracias, Margarita, por
Thank
compartir.
you,
Ya para
Margarita, for
cerrar, ¿algún
sharing.
aporte
Now in
más,
closing,
compañero?
Disculpe,
any additional
estaba pensando si
comments?
podía trabajar problemas, por ejemplo, de trigonometría, porque, por
I
ejemplo,
was
se podría
wondering if
decir, tengo la
trigonometry,
longitud del
for
cable con
instance,
el que se
I
mueve
have the
el
longitude
teleférico,
of
tengo
the
las
cable
alturas, entonces
with the
podríamos trabajar, no
cable
sé, problemas
car.
de calcular
I
ciertas
don't know,
distancias,
calculating
aplicando eso,
distances,
también,
applying this.
eso se me ocurre, o por
I
ejemplo,
don't
eso
know.
de siempre
I'm
del
thinking of
un
something
observador
like
mira
this.
a cierto ángulo, un compañero, a qué distancia, algo se me
Like,
ocurre, algo así, porque
I
como
don't
veo que está
know. I don't know,
muy,
something like that. I'm thinking the
tiene relación con eso de
angles,
observar.
with
Muy
this thing
bien,
of
gracias
observing.
por compartir,
Yes,
entiendo.
thank
A
you
nivel
for
de
sharing. I
secundaria
understand.
pudiésemos trabajar
Yes,
entonces
at a high
con
school level, you
trigonometría,
could
relaciones
do
trigonométricas. Por acá leo que
trigonometry and
Pato dice que
relations.
puede
I see
trabajar
that
con
Leo
lógica
mentioned
proposicional, con
that you
octavo de
could do
base,
with
que vayan entendiendo cómo armar
propositional
una tabla de valor.
logic, how to
Entiendo que
do
sería
a
como pensando en la
table of
actividad que
value. I
ustedes
think it
hicieron
would be
el
like
día de hoy.
thinking of
Pero
the
recuerden,
activity you
más que
did today,
pensar en
but
la actividad que
remember,
hicimos, es pensar en qué
more
actividades y
than
qué contenidos
thinking of the
ustedes pueden
activity that we did is what
desarrollar en
activity,
su
what
nivel, por
content
ejemplo.
you
Un buen
can
ejemplo es el
develop
que acaba de
in
explicar
your
Moira. En
grade.
el nivel
A
de
good example is the
secundaria
one that
puede
Maurice
trabajar con
said. High
trigonometría,
school,
porque
you
tiene
could
las
work with
relaciones, tiene las
trigonometry
alturas,
because you have the height, you have
puedes
the
armar un
relations.
triángulo y
You could do a
establecer
triangle
esas
and
relaciones
establish
trigonométricas en función
these
a esos elementos que
relationships
tiene.
in
Entonces,
relation to
básicamente,
these
entonces,
elements
eso
that you
sería la
have.
actividad.
So
Entonces,
this
me
perhaps would
gustaría
be
en
the
sí que
activity. I would love
verificaran con una manito arriba
to
si les queda
verify
claro
with
qué es lo que
thumbs
deben
up
o lo que
if it's clear
hagan
what it
para
is
hacer en el foro
that
de
you
debate.
could do to
Y
do in the
después de leerlo,
discussion
entonces ya
forum.
llegaríamos al final de este viaje
Okay,
por el teleférico en las
if this is
nubes.
it, we come to the end of this journey of the car cable on the clouds.